Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, sir.
Now you can hear me. We have the live stream screen up, but our voices are going out over the live stream right now. Just FYI. So don't say anything you don't want on the Facebook.
Huh.
Okie dokie. Looks like Jason is wandering. Is that him in the background? You can't see him.
No.
Yep, he's wandering around. He's wandering around the background, getting something out of the fridge. So that's how he's rolling right now. So here's what we're gonna do, Kareem. I'm going to hit the open, and hopefully by the time it's done, he'll sit his sorry ass down, and we can start the show.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, I thought you'd like that. All right, let's do it like this.
WTH.
What the hell?
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 This is the WTH, the WTH podcast.
Hold on to your butts.
Jason Casey, Kareem Daniels, and Nate Darling. From the Darling New Media Studios. This is the WTH podcast.
Hello and welcome into another episode of the WTH podcast, coming to you live from Darling New Media on illustrious Howe Avenue in Sacramento. Kareem is joining us from an undisclosed location near Placer County. You're not in Placer County, are you?
I'm close, but not quite.
Right. That's the best place to be. That way you can keep an eye on them.
Exactly.
Jason's microphone is sitting there. He is not yet. We thought we'd try it. We thought we'd try and start the show and see if Jason sat down, because he was roaming around getting stuff out of his fridge and doing all that happy stuff. And I said, oh, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go and see what happens, so we can start as close to on time as possible. Here he comes. Here he comes. Will he notice? Oh, that is a great looking beard. Goodness. Oh, no, he's gone again. This is, if you're watching on Facebook, you get to see Jason sit down and then run away. That's good stuff. If you're listening, you don't. We have a lot to get to today, as we always do. In New Zealand, they have dropped a Karen promotion. We got that. Let's see. Oh, something I like to call Wicked Naked. That's coming up much later in the show. And some small town news from Michigan. And Jason is sitting down to join us once again. Will he put on it? Oh, now he's flipping the hat around backwards because he means business. Oh, I'm wearing my hat backwards too. Sorry. So I guess that's it. Yeah, it's one of those. Hold on. Now I have to flip my hat around. Hold on. I'm going to do it. I'm turning the hat around just to be different. All right, here we go. Just to be different, I flip my hat back around. Jason, how are you? Jason, you wanna turn your audio on, because we can't hear you, buddy.
There we go. There we go.
Oh boy, we're off to a rousing start, aren't we? Hello, Facebook. Yes. I hope everyone is enjoying this. It's we're also live on YouTube as well, on the Darling New Media YouTube channel. We're live on my personal Facebook page and on the Darling New Media Facebook page, wherever you're watching us, wherever you're downloading and listening. Thanks for hanging out and making us part of your week. We do appreciate all that. We ran through what we got to get to, but before all of that, Kareem, what would you like to talk about?
This podcast that I found.
Yes.
Did you add it into the show notes, or did you add it?
I didn't. It's so let's talk about it here.
Okay. Let me find the name of it again. Darn it.
Yeah, it's like well-meaning white parents or something like that. Kareem's obsessed with white people.
That's all he talks about.
Right?
Nice white parents. That's what it's called.
Yep. I as you requested, I did listen to the teaser for that.
Did you listen to it, Jason?
I did not.
It's so, Jason, let me give you a quick rundown. Kareem, I'll let you fill in all the blanks. Just for style purposes, it's a New York Times produced podcast. So it has that sound, that production that you get from the New York Times. It's very straightforward. It's just a skosh off of NPR in terms of presentation. But Kareem, you want to fill Jason in on the content a little bit?
So, and actually, the podcast made me think of Jason a little bit.
That's why his beard went gray.
There's a school in New York City whose name I can't recall right now. But when it was in the process of being built, it was going to be built near a housing project, and it was a school that was going to be primarily Black and Latino students. So they had it set up where it would be built across the street from this housing project. So it'd be it would be in a good spot for those kids to come to school. Well, the good white people decided that they wanted to send their kids, didn't want to send their kids to a suburban school. And so they lobbied to get this school built in a different location under the premise that they were going to send their kids to the school as well.
Yep.
Fast forward, school gets built. No white parents send their kids to the school. Black and brown kids still going to the school. School doesn't necessarily perform well because it's underfunded and whatnot. And then you have the good white parents who, again, made all of this noise about getting their kids into the school because they wanted diversity and they wanted their kids to grow up around diversity. And none of them had the guts to actually send their kid to school. And so what ended up happening was, because they weren't sure that the other white people were going to send their kids to school, none of them ever sent their kids to school. Fucking gentrifiers. So I've listened to, I'm on episode 3 of the podcast, 2 or 3, but fast forward again, the school's open. Then all of a sudden you have white parents who decide that they want to send their kids to this school because it's supposed to be like an international school. And if you listen to the podcast, you hear the arrogance and the racism of suburban white people progressive white people who quote unquote don't consider themselves racist, but the shit that they do is underhanded and backhanded as Trump supporters. Because one lady was talking to a Puerto Rican lady about how great it is for people to be bilingual, but their focus was on French. So the fact that she was talking to a lady who already was bilingual just went above her fucking head. So that's why I wanted y'all to listen to it so you could actually contribute to the conversation, Jason. Because I wanted to get your thoughts on it, since you have 2 kids that are in a neighborhood that's pretty much a mixed neighborhood. So I wanted to kind of be able to have that conversation.
I can still kind of have it, right?
you can try. I mean, the crux I got from the takeaway, and Kareem did mention this, was they did these surveys. So they're going to put up these schools, and they were going to put them in the ethnic neighborhood. Is ethnic neighborhood the right word? I don't know. They're going to put it in the black neighborhoods. And this petition went around that was signed by all of these well-meaning white parents that said, no, we put it closer to the border, put it right next to us, because we want to be able to send our kids there because diversity is great. And then they get everything done. They moved the school, they built it. And when they opened it, none of those people who signed the petition sent their kids there. And the clips in the trailer, especially, I mean, that's really all you need to hear are the people that, because they asked them, so why didn't you send your kids there? And they're like, hamina. Yeah, that's pretty much the explanation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in California, if you send your kids to public school, you really don't have too much of a choice which school they go to. I mean, so they'll go to a neighborhood school. For the only other thing that might happen is we could send them to private school, like to St. Francis. That's the one idea we've kicked around a little bit, but that's like $20,000 a year. It's really expensive to send kids there, and so that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, like that. So it's shitty that people would do. I don't understand just like how you don't have balls to send the kids to, first of all, a new school, because it's going to be a new facility. So it means it's going to be better than most any other schools that are out there at the time. I don't know.
Here's what I don't get. Why don't you just let them build the fucking school where they were going to begin with? And if you're not actually going to send your kid there, don't get involved.
Exactly.
If you want to be a warrior and you want to be part of it and you want to sign your name to a petition, great, but follow through on it for God's sake. And if you're not going to, then just don't get involved. No one's going to come to your house and go, hey, why weren't you being part of this petition?
Well, I mean, like, it's just one of those things where you see unintended negative consequences to what people thought would be a positive idea, and not to say that it's not a good thing that happened, but Brown versus the Board of Education, while it integrated all the schools, there was a lot of schools that were taught. There's a shitload of African-American teachers that all of a sudden had no job because they closed down all the black schools primarily and sent the black kids to the white kids schools. So a lot of people lost their jobs because of that. And they weren't going to hire, black teacher. White schools weren't hiring black teachers, the way that the black schools had hired black teachers. That was an unintended consequence of Brown versus Education. Like that, a really bad part of it,
So, like I said, when you listen to, like I said, after you I just wanted y'all to listen to the first part of it. But when you start listening to the rest of the podcast, you understand how, like, New York has probably the most segregated schools in the country, and how they worked around the system, and how they pulled that same bullshit where they talked about how it's New York, we're diverse, we're not the South, and then they ended up doing the same stuff. And even the parents so you move up to this iteration of the school, and you have white parents who decided they're going to send their kids to the school on the premise that under the thing, if they have a French dual language, make it a French dual language school, because there's one guy who's from Canada, so he wants his kid to be able to speak French. And so those people come to the school and end up doing like their own thing. So again, it's another way of showing how racist and inconsiderate progressive white folks can be compared to when and
I mean,
how
those
white as the rednecks.
Yeah, well, the rednecks just wouldn't let it happen, or would burn a cross or throw a brick through the window.
Well, I mean, this goes back to the argument Kareem's made on the show before, and Kareem, your microphone's cutting in and out. But the argument Kareem's made before is that sometimes you'd almost rather be dealing with rednecks because at least you know where you stand with them.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like the idea, or seeing people that you know and love, that are good people, but when you try to talk to them about systemic racism or anything else, like microaggressions, like that just happen on a daily basis that they don't understand, and how defensive they get right away, shows you. I mean, it's just, the people that don't think they're racist are sometimes the ones that are the most, like, just don't realize how bad it is.
Kareem, can we hear you again?
How's it now?
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Yeah. So I was accurate with my interpretation of what you've said in the past, correct?
You straight on, dead on.
Okay. Wanted to make sure. All right. So yeah, what was the name of that podcast? Nice White Parents.
Nice White Parents. And
excellent.
If you get a chance to listen to it, you really should listen to it. It's like I said, it's interesting. It's a different perspective, and it's a white lady who actually does the podcast.
Oh, she couldn't be more white. Could not be more white.
And she, like she does all of the research and everything. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's certainly something. Jason, what do you want to talk about?
How do you guys feel about baked fish?
In the office break room, I'm against it. Just a microwave fish is the worst. What is this, a fillet of fish question?
So we do this thing called e-meals. And the reason that we do e-meals is because I don't want to say it was a point of, I guess it was a point of contention, is every week Chris and I having to decide what our menu was, grocery shopping, all of that, trying to sit down together and do that as a shared task, and creating a menu for a week, just contentious. And it's something you have to do every week and spend time. We found this thing called e-meals where they send you a bunch of different recipes that you can do: 30-minute meals, keto meals, crock pot meals, like all kinds of different.
Great. Get to the point.
So the point is, sometimes they have
not to be a dick, but the show's only an hour.
Some of the weirdest recipes I've ever had come from are been part of this, including baking fish but putting mayonnaise on it before you start baking it. So like tonight I made tilapia. All right,
that's the lightest shit I ever heard.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, this is what this recipe was. All right, it was tilapia, and then salt and pepper it, but then put mayonnaise on side of it. Right, like brush it with mayonnaise. A tablespoon on each fillet, and then put crushed salt and vinegar chips on top of it, like as almost like a coating. All right, and press those into it, and then bake it for 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Now I just roll with it most of the time because I'm like, we only need to pick 4 or 5 out, and there's lots of stuff. And I think with this one, I have tilapia. So I was like, I would just fucking make it. You know what I mean? Like, I just fucking make it. Wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. But it's just that weird, like, if you saw a recipe that was kind of strange like that, where it's like, man, like, would you just skip it? Or would you be like, fuck it, I'll try it. See what it is. See what it's about.
What kind of fucking stoner magazine were you reading when you found this? Because that's some straight... I got high after the club or after playing video games all day.
It's not.
And you looked in the refrigerator and all you had was some mayonnaise, some tilapia, and some fucking potato chips.
Bro, no. Listen, like now that you said this,
it's gonna be amazing.
No, it was not. That's not my reaction. In fact, I wanted to pick anything else but that. But there's only 7 recipes per week. Let me see. I'm bringing it up right now because I'm going to show this fucking shit to you guys. Because now I've been caught. It's not some stoner shit. There's no recipe for that shit because you just make it when you're stoned. So there's never a recipe for it.
Hey, while you're looking that up, I got one quick thing that we'll do before we get to that. So look up your thing. I want to say congratulations to my boy Mike Trout here, who is a proud new father. His wife gave birth to a baby boy last week, and he took some paternity leave this weekend, and he's back with the team on Tuesday.
Oh, nice!
Congratulations, Mike.
All right, yeah, looky there. Yep, it's crunchy crusted tilapia. Yeah, green beans make the difference. No, we believe you. We believe what you're saying. Yeah. I think Kareem's point is it. Now you may be attacking it from the wrong end, Kareem. I think that the issue here is a bunch of stoners came up with some ideas, And now I've turned it into a company.
Every once in a while, they have these recipes on there that are fucking ridiculous, and it's just like, what are you guys thinking? Like, you just wanted to say that, like they'll have you like, oh yeah, and make this puree out of tomatoes. And it's like, you had me make this puree out of tomatoes because there was nothing else in this that I couldn't have just unfrozen and put in the microwave. Like, I had to make a
So just to be clear, J Red the King from the All Eyes on Us podcast is watching along. He has 3 comments. One is some throwing up emojis. Then he said that's a marijuana snack, and that's definitely some high shit.
I get it, but like, probably because I am a stoner, that's why I was like, yeah, I'll fucking try it.
There you go. I want to talk about this real quick. The NRA. I don't follow the NRA on Twitter, but I happen to be scrolling through Twitter, and somebody was having a go at the NRA, and I found this tweet from July 31st. Nobody needs an AR-15, period. That's a Joe Biden quote. And then they say, America doesn't need a president who will give Beto O'Rourke the authority to demolish our Second Amendment. 95 days until we decide the future of our right to self-defense. I retweeted that with saying this: stoke the fear, stoke the fear. By the way, these are the same people who preached that Obama was going to take their guns. Mm-hmm. Look, if Obama couldn't take your guns, you think O'Rourke is going to? He's literally a Beto male.
Yeah.
And what position is he going to have where he's going to take your guns? Look, in 8 years of Obama, if you still have your gun, you're probably going to be okay.
Unless they do something stupid that to make the federal government wants to take their guns the next time a Republican gets in office.
Oh, well, just, Portland.
Yeah.
Just Portland. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so let's move past this. In Southern California, man, it was unfortunate. In Manhattan Beach, these 2 dudes are sitting outside a coffee shop. They're not wearing masks. They're supposed to be, because they're hanging out there. They're not eating at the moment. And a couple walks by, and the woman, we'll get to it.
What are you me for? I didn't say shit to you. Get the fuck out.
Oh no, don't get hit. Oh gee, hey, Matt. Oh shit. That was dumb. Hey, guys, stop.
Okay, so what you just heard was the beginning of an argument. The second dude who was not wearing a mask sees there's an argument. He starts recording on his phone. This couple walks by wearing a mask, and they decide they're going to have a conversation with these two. And apparently it went badly because at a certain point, the woman throws coffee in the face of one of the dudes. At which point that dude then gets up, runs over, and attacks her boyfriend. Because apparently that's the penalty for not keeping your woman in line. And I don't say that with a sexist bent, but here's what you don't understand. If you go out and attack a dude and your dude is with you, then he's going to have to do the fighting for you. That's the penalty for not. I'm just saying. Oh, hi. Who's listening to the show? Is it me? Is it us?
That was me.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to share it.
You were sharing.
You are. We're sharing everything. So, I mean, first of all, the guys were in the wrong. It's the rules. So Manhattan Beach is requiring everyone to wear masks, but the woman who threw the coffee, that is a criminal assault and battery. TMZ contacted the Manhattan Beach PD on what they did, and they have not heard back from that. But the cops did show up, and the it's one Manhattan, dude who,
of course they did.
Yeah. Well, one is it's white on white crime, Kareem. White on white crime.
My aunt and uncle used to live in Manhattan Beach. I know how white it is.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, right? Wear a mask. It's not that hard. It's not that. It's not that hard. And don't throw coffee at people. I mean, go if you want to say shitty things to them and keep on walking, great. But why are you standing there engaging in an argument? if your whole argument at one point in the video, the dude says, "Great, now you've got COVID," and I'm like, okay, well now you're an asshole too, and even bigger asshole, not just the not wearing a mask asshole. Now you're the asshole that goes, "Yeah, well you got COVID." Ugh.
Yeah, and he did the right thing by punching the boyfriend, because if he had punched her, then they really would have been the asshole on.
He did the right thing by punching the boyfriend. There's a hot take. I promised a hot take on the show, and there it is. He did the right thing by punching the boyfriend. Jason, if you're the boyfriend in this situation, are you okay with being punched?
I'm never okay with being punched.
So you're walking down the street with your wife. There's these two dudes sitting outside a coffee shop not wearing masks, and she's getting saucy with them. And she's like, "Hey, why aren't you wearing a mask?" At what point are you just like, "Hey, let's go"? Or are you just going to let her go?
No, I would say, "Hun, stop saying anything before you get punched in the mouth."
Is that a warning about them or a threat from you?
Definitely from them, not me. But definitely making sure that I tell them to direct it to her.
Sure.
Yo, she's speaking for herself, bro.
Yeah. Like, whoa.
And then when they punch her, I'll stab them. So that's just the way that I work. That's what I.
So we've talked about Aubrey Huff on the podcast before, former San Francisco Giant and all around dickbag on Twitter. He tweeted out a couple pictures of LeBron James. One where he is wearing the suit that is the shorts, and he's carrying a lovely gold man purse, and another photo of LeBron that's a little blurry. He's wearing a mask, and he's wearing a t-shirt, a vest, and shorts as well, and he's again carrying a small bag, as LeBron does. Aubrey Huff tweets, "Young men, this is not how a man is supposed to dress. Carrying a purse is not cool. I suppose dressing like this makes it easier to kneel. #emasculated."
Fuck Aubrey Huff.
So
Aubrey's
yeah.
talking because nobody cares about him.
Well, he also has a podcast, so he's trying to generate some controversy. Jamel Hill, I saw this only because Jamel Hill retweeted it and said, "Pull up on LeBron with that same energy then, since you don't think he's masculine."
I would love to see that.
Right? I would love to see that too. I mean, I think LeBron is smart enough to not get into a fight with anybody if he didn't have to. But I also think LeBron could handle himself in a fight, especially with a 45-year-old Aubrey Huff.
Dude plays professional basketball. You knock somebody out. Come on.
Well, Aubrey. Well, have you seen basketball fights, Jason? Those are the sad. There's a lot of flailing of arms in basketball fights. It is not necessarily the toughest thing you've ever seen.
But Aubrey Huff, come on.
I don't even want him to punch him.
He was.
I don't even want to punch him. I want to see him slap the shit out of him.
He was.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
This whole big ass black hand across his face.
Wow. Like that hand, like in Jackass, like when they would do the prank with the big hand that would slack people in the
I would love to see the outline LeBron's hand would leave on Aubrey Huff's pink cheek.
Exactly.
You just see that you just see his palm imprint. Somebody be like, "Oh, I can read your palm." On Aubrey Huff's face.
Fingerprint that. All right. So Metta World Peace, he's still roaming around, and TMZ will talk to literally anybody at this point. So Metta World Peace is wearing a mask. Not over his nose, just over his mouth. But he's wearing a mask. So partial credit. He said he's not knocking Jonathan Isaac for not kneeling for the Black Lives Matter. In fact, he said he'd probably do the same thing if he were still in the league.
I think everybody deserves to have an opinion. Me personally, I wouldn't have knelt either. You would not have knelt? Ain't no way I'm kneeling to anyone. Me personally, I'm not going to kneel to someone that I don't like. Yeah. I'm not begging for forgiveness. But like if you're playing to kneel in support of Black Lives Matter. No, I'm not kneeling for no one. You're not gonna kneel. I'm not kneeling for no one, but I'm not saying kneeling is wrong. Kneeling is the right thing to do. I'm saying me personally. You would not do it. Hell no. So you support.
Okay, here's what I'm saying. Stop talking to Metta World Peace.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I know you can still hear me, but not see me. My video is coming back here in just a second.
Yeah.
So,
I don't kneel for no man.
And this came because that's what Jonathan Isaac said or couldn't say because of his Christianity. He couldn't kneel before any man.
Right.
Did he get injured that game?
You can kneel before a false idol, but you're not going to kneel before a man. Okay.
Did he get hurt in his game?
Yeah, he did.
His leg.
Maybe God wasn't watching out for him.
I guess not.
I guess God made him kneel.
Instant karma. Instant karma. I mean, that's the thing. And he also he attended a protest, always keeping it real. And he wrote in Sharpie on a part of a cardboard box. Shout out to all my N words with an A-S. I'm not saying it, by the way. We riding. So, but he's not going to kneel. He's not going to. Metta World Peace, Ron Artest, whatever you want to call him. He backtracked, went back and forth so many times in that answer in like 35 seconds. I'm like, why is this video still happening? By the way, it went on for 2 minutes. I cut him off after 36 seconds.
I couldn't even it was like he wasn't even in this world.
And he kept
like, well, look,
he kept fucking with his mask too.
When they asked him about it, it pretty much went the same way.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. All right. So also in Southern California, it's a very heavily SoCal show today. 2 white supremacists were arrested for attacking a vehicle with a shovel after a woman screamed at the people inside the car, "Only white lives matter," and her husband got all Hitlery with a Nazi salute and declaring white power. Here's what it sounded like.
You ever wondered what actors and actresses do when they have to get in shape really fast for a movie?
Nope. I'm going to skip that.
What's going on? White lives matter, bitch. That's cool, bitch. Only white lives matter, bitch.
That's cool. White power.
That's crazy, bro.
White power. White power. 81.
So the couple that's commenting is inside of a car or inside of a truck. There's a truck in front of them, and the man and the woman keep getting in and out of the truck to talk shit about whatever. And so the man has now gone back to the truck, but the woman is now back out of the truck and headed back to say more shit.
81.
Crazy. The shit we have to go through in 2020.
Hell's Angels. You're not even the Hell's Angels, bro.
Oh, and she's filming their car now with her phone.
Crazy.
Bro, watch out for this bitch, bro.
Up, babe. They're all cracked out. Look at this.
Bro, watch out, bro.
Babe, run.
Watch out, bro.
Back up.
Oh man.
Babe, move.
That sound you just heard was him hitting the passenger side window with it, or the driver's side window with a shovel, and they drove off.
It's like, man, why come your truck is nicer than mine? That's pretty much what it was.
It was a lot of that. And yeah, it's
So again, somebody who should be slapped. Like she should have been slapped.
Yeah, well, good luck to the white supremacists in jail. It's just insanity. All right, while we're on the topic of racist shit, let's talk about Lindsey Graham.
Oh, he's my favorite one.
Well, I don't know if he's racist. I don't know. Maybe not. But his campaign ad features an image of his opponent with digitally altered darker skin tone. They ran an advertisement on Facebook earlier in the month last month actually, featuring a digitally altered image of his opponent who's black with a darker skin tone. Oh, like they did with OJ on the cover of Time magazine. The campaign ad uploaded to Graham's Facebook on July 23rd includes an image of his Senate rival, Jamie Harrison, that was originally published in the New York Times. The version of the image in Graham's ad, however, shows Harrison surrounded by a dark portrait-style background effect with a notably darker tone. Hollywood continues to bankroll my opponent, raising tens of thousands in campaign cash to attack me, but they fail to understand this simple fact. South Carolinians won't stand for radical leftists telling them how to think and how to vote. Are you with me? That's the Facebook post. The Graham campaign told CNN an effect was used in creating the ad, but pointed to past Facebook advertisements in which they say the same effect was used on Graham's face and called the issues raised about it a non-story. Let me explain something to you real quick. If you darken the whitest man in the world's face up a little bit, he just looks like a regular white guy. If you do that on someone with a darker skin tone, it's going to have a much different effect. I like to call it the Willie Horton effect, if you want to go old school with me. Kids out there, Google Willie Horton in the 1988 presidential campaign. Yeah, it's Kareem. I mean, it's South Carolina. We already know what we think of them. What do you think of this nonsense?
They did it on purpose. Somebody in Lindsey's campaign knew what they were doing. And Lindsey is actually on the hot seat this time. There is a possibility that he could lose his seat. So I'm expecting him to pull out all the racist, everything. He's going to pull out all the stops this time.
Yep. 3 months of whatever they can do.
Yes.
I will tell you this. The thing I've noticed, and I mentioned it in the NRA tweet, this election and virtually every other election that the Republicans are worried about, all they're doing is trying to make people afraid of whatever it might be. They just want to make people afraid. And I believe
unless it's COVID-19.
Right.
That's the thing, that they're not making them scared of that.
No. So some sad news out of DC. Our favorite moron in Congress, Louis Gohmert, representative from Texas, has tested positive for COVID-19, and he has a theory about why that is. This was tweeted by Bradley Whitford, who said, yes, he's that stupid. I had to sit next to him on a plane. He's that stupid. So it's good to confirm that Louis Gohmert is in fact stupid.
Of wearing a mask once you actually are confirmed to have coronavirus, but it seems health experts are saying you should wear it even if you do not. Do you agree with that then, to protect yourself?
There are an awful lot of people that think it's the great thing to do all the time, but I can't help but think that.
Okay, those people are called doctors and epidemiologists. Yeah. Those are the people that think it's a great idea to wear all the time. Just saying, there are people. It's not just some random dude on the street corner yelling shit. But I'm sorry, I'm going to let him finish.
If I hadn't been wearing a mask so much in the last 10 days or so, I really wonder if I would have gotten it. But I know, moving the mask around, getting it just right, I'm bound to put some virus on the mask that I sucked in. That's most likely what happened.
Go fuck yourself.
That's what happened. He moved the mask. There was some virus on the mask, and he moved the mask around, and somehow it got in. So that's why.
That's how it works, bro.
Let me break down the logic on that for just a moment into why it's faulty. So if the mask caught it, and it was on the mask, and he moved the mask around and it got in, if he's not wearing them, if he's correct, let me give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say Louis Gohmert's got this. If, in fact, he were not wearing a mask, that virus would not have collected on the mask. It would have immediately just gone into his face hole.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's the trajectory. If it gets caught in your mask, it was headed for your face hole.
What are your face holes?
Face hole. Now, more than 100 members of... Go on, Kareem.
And that dipshit was walking around Congress without a mask on right before it happened.
Yeah, in fact, he went back to his office to break the news to his staff in person.
I thought it was the right thing to do. I thought I should let them know in person without a mask.
Another person that should be slapped. Straighten them out.
Exactly. Well, Representative Jackie Spires outraged at Louis Gohmert, who rarely wore a mask on the floor of the House and tested positive this week. She says that after learning he was positive, he went to the House gym. TMZ has confirmed the gym was open but could not reach Gohmert for comment on that. She also says Gohmert's been living in his office and it's simply horrific and not safe. But her concerns go way beyond just Louis Gohmert. She fired off a letter to the Capitol physician and the architect of the Capitol back in May, saying that up to 100 members now, it's even more, sleep in their offices to save money. She says it's unprofessional, unhygienic, and even unethical. Oh my God. Oh my God. They are sleeping and then they're rolling out there sleeping. I mean, the funk on those old people.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Go to the gym.
Well, that's where they get the shower. I'm guessing that's where he gets the shower in. That's probably why he goes to the gym.
Yep.
Sergeant at Arms need to do your job. If you see somebody without a mask on the fucking floor, you need to tackle their ass.
Yeah, you're called a sergeant at arms for a reason, brah.
You don't have to go home, but you can't sleep here.
No.
And that's literally like what the sergeant at arms job is to do, is to enforce rules.
Well, you know, anyway.
I know it's
sleeping in the office. All right.
Listen, I will say that from what I've seen briefly, but what I've heard about, like when it comes time for when all the assembly bills and Senate bills have to go through the process and be voted on, and they're like having their last minute things at the state capitol here, similar things are happening. Like people are, because they're working 15, 16, 17-hour days. But sometimes they get a hotel across the street.
There's literally a hotel across the street. Go wash off your funk.
Yes.
It's usually what they do.
Go wash off your funk. Look, first of all, at least the sergeant of arms has to do this. Has to go around. Found out they've been sleeping in their office. Has to go up to them and have that same talk that you've heard about in your office that someone has to have with the person with the body odor issue.
Yes.
That uncomfortable conversation that some poor son of a bitch has to have about deodorant and proper hygiene.
Everybody is in the same room together and they're like, listen, like this isn't aimed at anybody directly. But if you're in need of any deodorant, we have some that we can give you, with some soap.
Do we need to clean the carpets in here? It's smelling kind of musty in the Senate.
Somebody needs to wash their ass.
Oh man,
that's precisely it. Janine Pirro has come out firmly against masks. Oh boy, yeah, it's you know what, it's tough to listen to, but let's listen.
Joe Biden is afraid of him. He'll use a pandemic. I think it's hysterical when he and his wife come out together and they're wearing their masks. You know, they've been housed together since the pandemic started, and they're wearing masks together when they come out.
Yeah, exactly. When you come out, you wear a mask. When they're in their house together, they don't wear a mask. But she's got a tone. She's got a tone, so let's let her go.
What is the point of the mask?
It's to stop spreading the fucking pandemic. That's the point of the mask.
The point of the mask is to basically kind of dehumanize. It's to, frighten people.
No, it's not. It's not to frighten people.
Know who's behind the mask.
I know who's behind the mask. First of all, Joe Biden and his wife walked out wearing a mask, and you recognized them. You weren't like, who the fuck's that? You immediately knew it was Joe Biden and his wife. If you were like, wait a minute, Who the fuck's that? And then they started peeking. I'm like, oh God, it's Joe Biden. You fucking knew?
It's to give people cover. It's exactly what the anarchists and the protesters need. You know, it strikes fear. There's something going on. They're all.
It doesn't strike fear. Are you really? Really?
It strikes fear in me when I see somebody not wearing one. I wouldn't say fear. It just pisses me off.
I'm so afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. She's on Fox News every night and has an audience of people that she tells this bullshit to. By the way, Kareem, I'm old enough to have. Did you watch MASH?
Yes.
Okay, MASH is on in repeats. It was a lot of it in repeats from when I was younger. So MASH, if you're unfamiliar with the show MASH, was sort of a sitcom dramedy. It was half hour long, and it was about the Korean doctors in the Korean War. And I would say a good 40% of their scenes were done in the operating room, where everyone wore a mask, and they acted those scenes out. You could see them raise their eyebrows. They could open their eyes very wide, or they could squint. They could very easily convey emotions using their eyes and facial expressions, even when wearing a surgical mask. So why do you think I hear these arguments all the time? Oh, people can't see me smile. Bullshit. You can tell when someone's smiling when they're wearing a mask.
Just stop being an asshole.
Pretty much.
It's so difficult. Like it's so difficult for me to comprehend, like, the mental gymnastics that you have to do to not wear one, because the only reason you're not wearing one is generally because you're selfish, but you've had to lie to yourself in so many other ways to get yourself to because you don't want. Nobody says that they're selfish. So they have to create a whole conspiracy theory around it, or I can't breathe.
My constitutional rights.
Yeah.
Don't apply. Do not apply. So
what about my constitutional lefts?
Right. Constitutional kick in the anyway. The Daily Show. By the here's the other thing I need to know. Why is it that the comedy shows like us and the Daily Show have to point all this shit out to people? It's in the news, but it's really hard to find because a lot of times news doesn't really point out the hypocrisy and bullshit that's going on. They're like, oh, well, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. It's rare that they point out that there is a conflict between the two things that have happened. So the Daily Show put together a video. This is of Fox News hosts from 2020 and from 2014, and they are all talking about deploying federal agents. So this is deploying federal agents 6 years apart. Fox News.
The president is expanding the effort to protect federal property in Portland. Portland now sending 100 more agents. Operation Legend is a beginning. It's greatly needed in all of these cities. I am having a hard time understanding why the government would create a confrontation like this. The government has gone way overboard here, and I think they need to pull back fast.
The city of Portland has been under siege. Federal DHS and DOJ officers and agents have been deployed to keep the mobs in check. As we watch the
Okay, so the second one here is Lou Dobbs. So the first one was Sean Hannity. This is Lou Dobbs. We just heard his description of 2020. Here's what Lou Dobbs sounded like in 2014.
An estimated 200 federal agents and local law enforcement surround the ranch. The word of this evening is tyranny, as in the arbitrary, unrestrained exercise of power.
When somebody looks at
this is Greg Gutfeld, 2020.
Lawlessness and says it's a local problem, you can do that to dismiss all bad behaviors, even though there's some law.
And now Greg Gutfeld from 2014.
Lawlessness involved here. It's the inclination is to be for the individual, even if the individual may have broken some laws. Federal authority.
I don't recognize who this lady is, but here she is in 2020.
Did he say to be for the individual, even if they broke some laws?
Yeah, even if they broke some laws.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
You did, especially if they're a white guy.
Yeah,
so, especially.
Back to the lady I don't recognize.
Across the country right now in an effort to preserve some degree of sanity. I think the sentiment is we are the federal government. We're entitled to do whatever we want. The government feels entitled to massive overreach over states' rights.
When the DA.
So a very, very different feeling in the 6 years. Let's go back to Sean Hannity, 2020.
DHS deployed federal law enforcement officials to protect the city's federal buildings. They were accused of, quote, acting like an occupying army. The federal.
Okay, that's 2020. Now here's Sean Hannity from 2014.
The government needs to pull back. They need to think about what is the end game here. Are they willing to tase people, fight people? I saw one picture of a bloodied up woman, an elderly woman that was thrown to the ground for more than a month.
One picture he saw. Here's Tucker Carlson, 2020.
Mobs of violent, crazy people have roamed this country, terrorizing citizens. It's the armed agents who are scarier. And so how could you look at this and say, Cliven Bundy's the one who threatens America?
I guess it just depends who's running the federal government, what you're cool with.
The hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Now, in Portland,
I can't get over that before the individual, even if he's broken the law.
He was a white guy, Kareem. He was a white guy, and the president was a black guy.
And he's a salt of the earth white guy. That's a farmer, a rancher. He's
I will say, here's what I will say about the person they're talking about. He's actually come out and said the federal government is overreaching in 2020. So he doesn't have a different opinion about the federal government and their overreach. I'm just saying. Now, just a reminder, in 2014, you had armed people that were taking over. I believe they took over a government outpost, like in middle of nowhere, Oregon.
Yeah.
And there was I believe, a warrant for the arrest. So that was specifically what it was. It involved weapons. In 2020, it was people protesting in the streets, and there was some graffiti in Portland. So that's what we have. Just pointing that out. You're welcome. Thank you, Daily Show, for finding those things. Meanwhile, go to our friends in New Zealand for our weekly.
Why did you do that? Why? Why did you do that, Karen?
It's This Week in Karen, where Domino's New Zealand has pulled a promotion giving free pizzas to Karens. The New Zealand wing of the pizza chain Domino's has backtracked on a promotion offering free pizzas to customers named Karen who aren't Karens. The promotion and an identical offer in Australia offered free pizza to women named Karen who don't conform to the stereotypes of a Karen, a term that's gained prominence as an online pejorative for white women who act entitled and insensitive in public, often in the context of racism or refusal to wear a face mask to protect from COVID-19. The promotion called on customers named Karen to fill out an application, and 100 entries would be selected for free pizza. Domino's New Zealand canceled the promotion after sharp online backlash that called on the chain to instead offer free pizzas to racial minorities or people who've been economically impacted by COVID-19. I guess that's fair. So we wanted to bring a smile to customers who are doing the right thing. Karen the nurse, Karen the teacher, Karen the mom, the chain said in a Facebook post. The post, which apologized for the promotion, said that the people interpreted this in a different way than we intended, and we appreciate how this has happened, and we have listened. We've removed the post. The Australian version of the promotion remained active because Australians are dicks. There's a big difference between Australians and New Zealanders. I'm just saying. We do have listeners in Australia. Australians aren't necessarily dicks. Some of them are. Some of them are tremendous dicks.
And some of them have tremendous dicks.
They said at Domino's, we know there's plenty of Australians named Karen that aren't, well, Karens, and we want to send some free pizza their way. So they're leaving it up. I mean, you can still leave it up and give pizza to minorities and people impacted by COVID-19. You can do it. You can do both. It's not an either or.
Yeah, people would love free pizza.
Exactly.
Hey, Domino's. White women don't need to be protected.
Why did you do that, Karen? Why did you do that, Karen?
Love that clip. It's a good fellas. Kareem, get ready to be outraged. Oh, I'm sorry. Jason, get ready to be outraged. That's your role on the show. Prison labor in Massachusetts is used to manufacture Blue Lives Matter merchandise. In case you're wondering where it came from. Excuse me. I need a beverage here as I have a dry throat. As long as prisons exist, I've generally been a fan of the idea behind work release programs. This is an article on Boing Boing, by the way. I don't care. Excuse me. Like the one in the Maine state prison system, where incarcerated people learn skills like woodworking that will help them get jobs on release, or at least that's the least worst work-related prison program that they've come across. Most people who spend time in prison are usually driven there through a series of events complicated by poverty. Okay, we'll get through all of that. But yeah, the people of Massachusetts make state prison laborers produce public safety personnel flags and Blue Lives Matter merchandise is the key behind it. So
I would misspell all that shit.
Yeah,
it would all be blue and say Black Lives Matter.
By the way, they point out in this article, it's boingboing.net, by the way, if you're want to looking it up. The Blue Lives Matter flag actually violates the U.S. flag code. So there's that.
Of course it does.
Somebody wearing a face mask that has the freaking flag on it is violating the flag code. Like, I really wish people would start getting. So Chris watches the floor of the California Assembly, like in the Senate, for her work. So it's on. There's some dude that was today is talking and he like saying shit that's dickish in the first place, but he's wearing a freaking American flag like mask. It's like, dude, like you're like you should know better. Like, I don't understand these people. Like, yeah. I don't understand it. Like, well, no, like, the Blue Lives Matter flag too. It's like it's not what it's against the rules. It's not. I guess it's just them showing that the rules don't apply to them.
Look, I am okay with. I need to open up another window because I want to talk about this a little bit. So I found a photo and then I stole it on Facebook. Scroll down. There we go. It's a Venn diagram. Bless you. It's got 3 circles. Supports good police officers is one circle. Believes that Black Lives Matter is another circle. And upset at police brutality is the third. So in a Venn diagram where those all come together in the center, it just says me. And I posted that and said, and most of my friends as well, be the center of the Venn diagram. This idea that you are just behind the cops no matter what, just, oh, that's what it is. I find that very incongruous because don't you want the best people in that position, a position of trust? They're people who are armed out there. They're supposed to be protecting you and your property and your community. Don't you want people who are going to be better than the average person? Don't you want to weed out the bad apples, so to speak?
There's a black man in North Carolina who's been in prison for 44 years because the police had forensic evidence that showed that he wasn't the person who committed a crime, and they didn't turn it over to defense or the prosecution. So, are you for those kind of cops?
That is a very fair question, and I for all of the people who just immediately go, no, Blue Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. And I get it. When you're a cop, you go through a lot of shit. You deal with a lot of shit. It's a tough job. I don't have it for a reason. I don't want it. But when you go home And I get the mental aspect of it, that stays with you. But you get to take off your uniform and you get to take off your badge and you get to go about your life. And when you go to the Home Depot, people don't necessarily know that you're a cop, that's your job. If you're black, you go to the Home Depot, they know you're black.
Yep.
So it's not the same thing. One is a very difficult job that people choose to have and do. The other is the color of their skin, their ethnicity.
And it's a job that has sacrifices, but at the same time, it's not the most dangerous job, as I've said before, that you can have. Yeah, like the loggers are number one job where you're going to die. Yeah, per 100,000, I think it's something like 400 or something like that per 100,000. Whereas cops, it's like 40 or something like that. It's a ridiculous number, but they're also, it's a dangerous fucking job. Crab boating, fishermen, crab pilots.
Crabs are dangerous.
Yes.
No diet.
No, but that commercial fishing is dangerous. You're more likely to die as a groundskeeper than you are as a cop. That's 100% true fact.
Well, I learned that from watching Caddyshack, because I thought Bill Murray was going to bite it the whole movie. That there were those high explosives battling what's probably a rabid varmint. I mean, that's danger.
That's what they do. They all do that.
That's the real danger that we're talking about in this situation. All right, let's move on.
Florida, land of enchantment.
Florida.
And crazy.
Florida.
This is Florida Corner.
Florida.
Headline: Wife erupts upon interrupting husband's tryst. Upon returning home at 11 p.m., a Florida woman discovered her husband engaged in sexual intercourse with another woman, a circumstance that allegedly prompted a domestic pummeling. I love that word, pummeling. And the wife's arrest by police. According to cops, Nicole Dennison, who's 29 years old and a flight attendant, interrupted the infidelity when she arrived at her family's residence in Safety Harbor, which is in the Tampa Bay area. Dennison police allege... Why is that funny?
Safety Harbor.
Oh, yeah, not there. Police allege punched her 34-year-old spouse in the left eye, causing a black eye. Her husband also sustained scratches to his forehead and a bruise on his right arm at the hands of the defendant. Then, in a move straight out of Animal House, Dennison allegedly took her husband's acoustic guitar and smashed it against the wall, destroying the instrument and leaving a gaping hole in the wall. Arrested for domestic battery, a misdemeanor, she was booked into the county jail, released on her own recognizance. The judge has allowed her to continue having contact with the victim. The couple's been married nearly 3 years and have 2 children. A criminal complaint does not reveal how Dennison, who works for Allegiant Air, happened to surprise her husband, who's worked as a bartender and fitness instructor. Oh my God, bartender and fitness instructor, the two most get strange jobs you're gonna come across.
Like, how did you know he was not fucking around?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she did know, but I mean, it's very easy that she could have been like, "Oh, hey, my flight got canceled, or someone offered to take the flight for me, so I'm gonna go home and surprise my husband." Not in that way. Maybe it was an innocent thing. She's like driving home, like, "I love my husband so much. I want to surprise him. I want to kiss on him and wake him up and do nice things." And then she walks in and he's fucking somebody else.
Surprise!
That's a hard turn. That is a hard turn. Just saying. Also in Florida, a 22-year-old pizza delivery man named Stephen Lee Donovan was allegedly pleasuring himself while seated behind the wheel of a 1996 Honda Civic parked outside of Circle K. So
sometimes jokes just write themselves.
So yeah, you got a 96 Honda Civic, do ya? And you're outside the Circle K in Fruitland Park, Florida, and you decide, you know what? Now's the time I'm pulling out the Johnson.
Strange things are definitely afoot at the Circle K.
Working the stick shift. Working the stick shift. Now, while Donovan was masturbating, a woman whose car was parked next to the Honda noticed the vehicle's sole inhabitant had penis in hand and was stroking himself, this is in quotes, in up and down motions.
Well, at least she could see it.
I mean, what other motions are going to do? Side to side? Just yanking it side to side, trying to rip it off. And now, unfortunately for Donovan, the witness was an off-duty cop.
Of course.
Wow.
She copied down the Honda's license plate. If you're wondering, it's JACR06. She provided that to police dispatchers, and the Fruitland Park Police Department report notes that a review of surveillance footage captured the suspect, who wore a black mask. Well, at least he was wearing a mask, so we'll give him that. Pulling his pants down as he grabs his genital area and making a continual motion with his genital area. So he was in the groove. Cops tracked the vehicle to a residence where they found Donovan, who works for a Hungry Howie's pizza franchise. So they found him and his 20-year-old girlfriend, who actually owns the car. During questioning, Donovan reportedly told police that he drove to the Circle K around 10 p.m. to grab a post-work drink and his penis. After he placed himself at the scene of the masturbation, he was arrested and placed in handcuffs. It was at this point Monroe asked to speak with Donovan, who was in the rear of the patrol car. And during the couple's conversation, which was recorded by dashcam, Donovan was very apologetic to Maxine, acknowledging he was horny and masturbating to pornography.
Wow.
He told her that he didn't think masturbating in his car was illegal. Sadly, Donovan did not further expound on his belief that a Honda's interior was some sort of sovereign zone. Charged with exposure of sexual organs, which is a misdemeanor, he was booked into Lake County Jail, freed from custody after posting $1,000 bond.
Whoa.
Right? $1,000 for yanking your crank in the Honda?
Wow.
Get away from the Circle Jerk K.
Exactly.
See what I did there? I'm resorting to puns. We're getting late in the show. He's scheduled to be arraigned on August 13th. Florida. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. What did he do? Was he using the Circle K's Wi-Fi? What the fuck was he doing at the Circle K?
You know what would be really funny if he went into the Circle K to actually buy a porno magazine like it was 1987.
Or he was returning one.
He's picking up the latest copy of Gent magazine. Is that still a thing?
I'm not sure.
Gent, Swank.
Swank, that was the one.
Swank was the one you yanked to.
No, I found it was funny. My stepdad at some point, a friend of his, had his girlfriend move in with him or something like that, and his friend gave him I remember there was just 2 trash bags full of magazines that were in my dad's shed, under a desk. I don't know how I knew where they were, but I knew where they were. And Swank was in there. I don't know if you know. We was in there. Penthouse.
Any Hustler?
And Hustler, yeah.
Yes.
So it was all 70s, early 80s porn. It was all
lots of pubic hair.
Lots of pubic hair.
Lots of pubic hair. Oh no, Jason's lost his microphone.
Oh goodness.
That's some good Facebook right there.
Yeah.
He got so excited talking about Swank.
Talking about my old days.
It's like his penis jumped up and knocked the microphone over. Egad, what's going on there? All right, let's trip down memory lane. That's the crazy thing. Now, if you look back to before the internet and how you got your material for self-pleasure, it was a lot of work. Kids today just don't understand. Kids today do not understand the work involved. It wasn't as simple as just, oh, let me browse in incognito mode and make sure I get rid of all of my history. No.
Yeah.
No. You had to find a videotape or a magazine, and then you had to find a place to stash it and hide it so it wouldn't get found.
Yeah. bathroom. It was in the guest bathroom at our house, which is the bathroom that I used. You had to take out the bottom drawer, which was a bigger drawer. You take it out. And when you get it out, I would have it to the right that was underneath the boards. That's where I would keep my stash of my special ones.
Harriet Tubman did not hide people that well.
Man.
And by the way, that is going to be probably the first and only time you hear Harriet Tubman associated with hiding pornography. But there you go.
There you go. Yeah, I asked my dad. My dad found it when he did it like a reno on the bathroom.
Sure.
15 years later,
he took a break from demo to rub one out.
He's like, oh,
look at that. Oh, yeah, brings back memories. All right, hold on. I'm going to take 5.
Miss Wee, 1976. Wow.
I'm going to take 5. By 5, I mean 5 knuckle shuffle. Sorry, masturbation jokes. We're right there now.
Right there.
Yeah, we're getting near the end of the show. Let's
yank it.
Let's yank it forward. We have another arrest, this time in Massachusetts, where a nude couple walking their dog was busted after a violent tangle with cops. That's a strange statement, but a nude couple tangled with police after they were spotted strolling with their dog early on a Monday morning near their home. Responding to 911 calls about the naked duo, cops encountered the couple around 6:30 a.m. Investigators say that Mariel Kenny, who's 32, and Kevin Pinto, who's 30, were accompanied by their dog Lucy as they walked near their home in Hopkinton, which is about 30 miles west of Boston. When police questioned Kenny and Pinto about the state of undress, the pair allegedly became confrontational after answering some questions incoherently. After yelling and swearing at police, the couple sought to run away from officers, but they were quickly corralled. And there's nothing cops love more than having to tackle naked people. What followed, cops charged was a violent scrum during which Kenny and Pinto struck Hopkinton Police Department officers, one of whom required treatment for minor injuries. They were eventually restrained and placed into custody. They were each charged with indecent exposure, assault and battery on a police officer, resisting arrest and disorderly conduct, and disturbing the peace. They've not been arraigned on the felony and misdemeanor counts yet. It wasn't the typical day in Hopkinton, that's for sure. Police Chief Joseph Bennett told the local paper they were buck naked. In fact, Hopkinton, which is not easy to say, by the way, is the starting point for the Boston Marathon, and it was named this month as the country's second safest city by Safewise. So it's so safe you'll walk your dog naked in the morning.
Sounds about
that's
right.
Safe.
That's
That is safe. It's totally safe.
I wish I knew more about the area that they lived. Like, how residential is this? Like straight up suburbs? Is it like that toss between like town? So it's kind of like a little bit of country, a little bit of space between things.
A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah, it's exactly.
A little bit country, a little bit nuts hanging out.
A little bit nuts hanging out. little.
Lots of dem titties swinging in the.
Some perineum sunning.
Oh, look at you with the proper medical terminology for the taint. Jason's too good to use the word taint. He's gonna go perennial.
There ain't no taint about it.
Well, they do say when you explain to your kids about stuff, you shouldn't have slang terms. You should use proper terms for body parts. So there you go. It's not your taint. It's your perineum, kids. Oh boy, it's fun times. By the way, I have just a heads up for anybody who's wondering. I've seen a lot of this where people are wondering, especially women are wondering, why is it a big deal if we get busted sunbathing topless? So it's actually happened. There's a place where cops are using drones to arrest people who are sunbathing naked, and some of the women are upset because their claim is that there's men around them with bigger breasts than they have. And I will tell you this, it's not about your breast, it's about your nipples. Because watch TV anytime. You'll see people on TV and they can be wearing stuff that has, watch the Kardashians for fuck's sake. They got side boob, interior boob hanging out. What you can't show is nipple. Nipple is the thing. Nipple is the thing, and a lady nipple is a little different than male nipple. in size wise, and apparently that is the difference legally for some of the people who say you can't do that. It depends on where you.
YouTube can sometimes misidentifies my breasts as actual breasts, so I get it.
You got them pancake areolas hanging out there. Is that what's going on?
I'm just saying, I was in a video and it got banned, and I was topless.
TOPLESS. Yes. Jason swinging them titties around. So, and there are plenty of states where it's not illegal for women to be topless in public. New York State's one of them, actually. As long as the purpose is not to arouse, it is perfectly legal for women to be topless in New York State.
Yeah, let them titties out, baby.
Yeah. Is it part of? Is it okay to say titties? I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Why not?
I guess it depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah,
what you say. Yeah. I'm saying it for comedic purposes here. I understand.
It's like I'm like telling RGB to show me them titties. You know what I mean?
RB, you mean
I said,
RB?
Did I say RGB?
You did.
Yeah, like the cable. Yeah, like the cables. You know,
red, green, and blue. Not Supreme Court Justice.
No, I would never talk about her.
No, we wouldn't do that. That would be disrespectful. You can't do that. All right. Get the hell out of here.
Let's leave the hustle and bustle for small town news.
You were promised hot takes. You've gotten hot takes. It's a hot take week here on the WTH podcast. We go now to St. John's in Michigan, where the Norwegian flag on St. John's Inn was mistaken for a Confederate flag, and the owners have taken it down. The owners of a massive Civil War-era mansion turned bed and breakfast have removed a Norwegian flag that's hung outside its main entrance for 2 years because they say too many people have mistaken it for a Confederate flag and confronted them about it. These are people who clearly have not seen either. Greg and Kirsten Offenbecker, who own the Nordic Pineapple, wouldn't you want to stay at the Nordic Pineapple? Hung the flag of Norway on a front pillar of the South Oakland Street property opposite the American flag just after they moved in 2018. Before it was a nearly 9,000 square foot bed and breakfast, the house was a local landmark. Built in 1861 by Oliver Spalding, a brigadier Union general and attorney. Spalding served as regent for the University of Michigan for 6 years, was a U.S. congressman and former Michigan Secretary of State. Now, displaying the Norwegian flag, it's red with a blue cross superimposed on a white cross. So it's a big white cross with a thinner blue cross over it. Or do I have that backwards? Yeah, big white, smaller blue.
That's correct.
It's a nod to Kirsten Offenbecker's Scandinavian heritage. Her grandfather was born in Norway, and the bed and breakfast name is in part inspired by her family history. The couple said it never occurred to them that people would mistake the Norwegian flag as anything else. But last week, after they received the latest in what Kirsten called at least a dozen hateful emails and twice as many comments, they took the flag down. It doesn't look like the Confederate flag. It's got the same colors, but so do a lot of flags. Red, white, and blue. It is not the stars and bars.
If you watch the Winter Olympics, you know because they win a lot of events.
If you watch a lot of biathlon and cross-country skiing, yeah, a lot of that. She said, we were panicked initially because we were like, oh my gosh, this town thinks we're hanging the Confederate flag. Her husband said it bugged
in America now. Stop being Norwegian.
Well, they've got an American flag too. Her husband Greg said it bugs me as far as the stupidity of people. Even if the flag is blowing in the wind or laying limp, there's no stars on it. They look nothing alike. Good for you, Greg. Good for you. Now, she normally asks people, can you look again? Then she sometimes explains the implication they would display that many people would recognize as a racist symbol couldn't be further from the truth. See, 2 of their children, ages 12 and 15, are black. This story gets better, doesn't it? The couple said they've done their best to help both of them navigate the reality of racism in America after the aftermath of George Floyd's death. at the hands of a police officer. It's more than this one instance for Black people, Kirsten said. It's not just this one person. That was the straw that broke the proverbial back. Their children experienced racism at a school district they attended on the west side of the state, but so far their experience at St. John's Public Schools has been positive, saying having experienced that before and moving to a small conservative town in the middle of Michigan and have that not be an issue has been wonderful. So there you go. Go ahead and Google the Norwegian flag and take a look at it. It's not the stars and bars at all. They really should. They could take the General Lee, change that to just say fjord on the top of it, fjord, and put the Norway flag on the roof of the car, and then you've got something that nobody wants.
I was like, where's he going with this? Okay, yeah.
It was a long and winding road I took in the former General Lee.
But you found it.
I got there.
You got
there, and that's the point. Just like we got to the end of this episode of the WTH podcast. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in on Facebook and checking us out. We do appreciate it. To all the people listening for the audio-only portion of the podcast around the world, from Australia to the Middle East to Europe, to our friends in Canada and across the United States of America, where some people know the difference between the Norwegian flag and not. I will say this to Greg. You're in small town America. Get used to the stupidity. Because, it's not just in Florida. It's everywhere. There's dumbasses everywhere. All right, before we wrap it up, any last words, Jason?
Be good to yourselves and each other.
Thank you, Jerry Springer. Kareem?
Watch Tread on Netflix. Find out what happens when you push a man too far.
I will say this. Roku and HBO Max. Get your shit together. This is bullshit. HBO, you stop supporting your HBO Go before you got your HBO Max on the Roku. It's the fucking Roku. You got to be on the Roku. I just like saying Roku a lot.
Roku.
And I'm fucking irritated. I don't want to have to watch it through my PS4. I don't want to have to turn on my video game system to watch TV, because then I've got the goddamn video controller and I'm like two thumbs trying to change the fucking thing. It's not
Welcome
okay.
to my house.
This is our house. Is that not the whitest thing I've ever complained about on the show?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to fire up my PS4 to watch my streaming. That's white privilege. Yay, white privilege. What? All right, we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.